So it's been a little while since I've done one of these, since I was doing a lot of the core gadget stuff in the past. If you haven't watched that and you're interested in like iPad music generation apps, you should check that out because it's a pretty cool app. I use it quite a bit now. That being said, I'm currently working on mixing and re-recording some parts for the next album. There's some new songs that I want to add into it. And of course, I always go back through and listen to my older stuff as a chance to kind of bring stuff forward that maybe I didn't use on other albums. Songs that I really liked but didn't fit the feel. Or maybe there were some recording issues and I want to try and re record them again because it's a song I really like. It just, I couldn't make it work at that time. There's a lot of rinse and repeat in what I do until I'm really happy with it. And then eventually, hopefully, you'll hear it. That being said, since I recorded a lot of the vocal parts, I've moved. I no longer live in that house. So uh, the first three albums, it always sounds weird to say albums, like it's a dirty word, uh, were all recorded at a different house that I lived in. And now, since last year, having moved um, to another spot in Texas, much bigger house, the vocal room has changed because I don't silence my vocals all the way down. I like to get a little bit of room resonance. It just reminds me of where I was and what I was doing, but this is the cost. If I record vocals here now, it's going to sound close, but it's still not going to sound the same, at least to my ears. So when I re-record a vocal part, a lot of times I'm really recording the entire thing again, doing all the verses or all the choruses or whatever the case is. If it's not a background vocal, I probably won't be able to blend them without it sounding a little weird. I'm also trying a couple new mics since I have to do that. I say new. Uh, they're newer to me because most of the time I stick to the SM7B for my vocals. Uh, However, I've pulled out my old ribbon mic, my R144. Um, I, I've always liked ribbon mics. They sound really good for acoustic recordings. On metal recordings, unless you're doing some sweet little whisper vocals or getting in really close, to me, they typically they end up distorting or they end up adding a lot of noise that you didn't really want because you're being very, very loud. And a ribbon mic to me, and I'm sure other people will counter this, a ribbon mic to me is good for quiet, delicate noise when you're trying to get a very certain like nuance to what you're doing. It's not to say that they don't have places in metal and rock. It's just usually they're brought out as decoration, making those extra little tweaks versus being kind of the main piece of equipment. The SM7B, on the other hand, has become absolutely so ridiculously popular that everyone knows, or if you haven't, you're going to learn it now, that it's super popular because Michael Jackson supposedly used it on all of Thriller, which is always considered one of the best produced albums out there as far as sound quality goes. Now, any podcast you watch, any YouTube video, if if that person's been around for a while, they probably have an SM7B. It's buying the thing that you know is going to work. For a guitar player, it's the equivalent of buying a Les Paul and a Marshall stack. You know exactly what that should sound like. If it doesn't sound like that, it's probably you. It's not the equipment. That being said, it's nice to have a safety net, but I'd like to try other things. Most of us would, especially after you've been at it for a while. You start going, well, certainly there's got to be a different way I can make this painting without those brushes. So that's largely what's been going on with me. In the meantime, I have been reminded of things that I haven't done in over a year, which is certain ways that I'm recording audio, certain things I'm doing with my project files, certain caveats that have always, I'd like to say I learned from my mistakes, but sometimes we're lazy and we're moving too quick, or we're more into the song than doing the paperwork side. So I thought I'd share this with you really quick. So one of the things is recording desktop audio on a Mac. Macs are a little bit different in some things, but I found that in most cases, anything I want to do, I can figure out how to do. Sleight of playing games. Ha ha ha, we all know that. Although supposedly that's going to change. I'll believe it when I see it. What I wanted to show you is a very free way to record anything on your desktop. So I could record music playing from Logic into this video. I could record music coming off of YouTube into this video if I wanted. How I do that is with an app called VB Cable, which is a virtual cabling environment. It allows you to reroute your audio. That's this white screen here. Last check, this app was 100% free to download, install. There's no subscription, no update business. It's pretty much what it is. You can see my settings here. I'm pretty sure these are the defaults. I don't recall having to mess with them much. In fact, I think I messed with them just to see what I could do. But other than that, I'm running the defaults. So installing virtual cable, VB cable turns it into an audio interface. In a Mac, you need to create an aggregate device, which is to say a device that looks like one, but is actually made up of many things. And so I do that by hitting plus, create an aggregate device, which creates this multi-output device. From here, I need to select the two devices I want output going to. So I have VB cable and I have USB audio codec. That USB audio codec is the generic USB driver that powers, in this case, I'm running my Behringer Xenix X1222 mixing board. I'd show you a picture, but then I have to move the camera and it just becoming a giant mess. They're very common. They're very cheap. It's 16 channel board that's unpowered, costs less than $200. That being said, I use a number of different audio interfaces. This is once again me trying to do something a little bit different and play with some of the stuff that I have. This board has been great. It's giant and bulky and does not belong on my desktop in general. It's not as bad as some of the PV boards that I used to have years and years ago, where you basically had to wrestle the entire thing or get somebody to help you. But it does the job. It's fairly cheap. And yeah, that's all I need. So getting back to this really quick. So I've selected both of these devices. VB cable is acting kind of as a middleman. It's grabbing the sound before it goes to my speakers or my headphones. The USB codec is responsible for actually delivering that sound to my speakers or headphones. So I'm going to do this and hopefully it won't mirror off too bad. Actually, I can just grab the preferences. So in my OBS studio, go to my audio, you'll note that my desktop audio is set to VB cable. My mic is set to the audio codec because my microphone is coming in through the board. This is the key to recording audio on your desktop on this Mac. This is the latest version of Ventura. It cost me nothing to do this. I've been using this trick for years and years and years, and it works. And it doesn't cost me money. I don't have to pay someone for a subscription just to use one feature of the giant app. But yeah, that's how you record audio on a Mac, desktop audio on a Mac. So hopefully that's given you enough settings. If not, if you want to know more about it, if you want me to go more in depth, leave a comment, let me know. I'm happy to share any knowledge I have. I'm going to go ahead and close those and get down to the other thing that has been bugging me this week. And pardon if I'm tripping over words. I'm in mode, but I wanted to share this with you guys. So there's this little part of my thought process that's like, okay, it's time to go record again. It's time to go mess with the recordings. So you'll notice that this folder is called Logic 3. That's because I have a number of Logic folders. Typically because what I do is after I've recorded an album, I shelve everything I have, copy it off, back it up, clean slate. I don't want the next time I open my recording software for me to be listening to some other recording that I did. I want to come in with kind of a fresh mindset and start recording. That being said, once I start feeling like I have enough songs that it's time to put another collection out or an album, then I kind of go back through the old folders and see if there's anything else that I haven't put out there yet that maybe fits better with what I'm doing. Or maybe it was a great song that I recorded. I really liked it, but just I couldn't nail it at that time. Something didn't sound right. So I always go back and re-review my work as I'm going through the whole mixing process, just to see if there's something that was like, oh wow, I forgot about that song, and that really goes well with this. Um, However, there's a thing that most of us get caught up in, especially if you're starting to learn like GarageBand or Logic or Reaper, uh, any kind of music recording, and that's it. That you're moving so fast, or you're trying so many different things that you keep accepting the default naming scheme. So on the screen, you can see I have all these are named. And in some case, there might be the word riff behind it. That's because I recorded a riff, not a song. Maybe these are sections of songs. There's some sense in my head as to what this is about. Like bleaching likely means that I'm going for something in the tonal range of like Nirvana's Bleach album. That's all. But if we scroll down here a little bit, we'll see project one, project two, project three. Now, I've said before, I write a lot. Not saying it's all good, but I write pretty constantly and consistently. And you'll note that we jump from project 28 to 288. The reason for that is most of the songs between here I have renamed because I know where they belong. However, when I'm going back and doing this process, I'm looking at something like project 27, seeing it's a small size. There's probably not a lot of anything, but I won't know until I open the thing. I don't know if that size is even where it is because it's a single track acoustic recording, or maybe it's a guitar with some effects, or maybe I was trying something out vocally and liked it and decided to save it so I knew what the chain was. There's better ways of doing that too. But going back to the naming scheme, no matter what you're using, it probably has a default naming scheme when you save. I think Reaper uses untitled, so it's untitled 1, untitled 2, just so you're not overwriting the last file that you use. But here's the problem now. In order for me to review any of these things, to even step into it, I now have to blindly open each project, check and see what the sound is, what the song is, or what it's about. If I had even done something as simple as written metal 1, metal 2, rock 1, rock 2, country 1, you would have some semblance of what you're trying to listen to. These aren't going to be, like, in most cases, these aren't going to be finished songs. They might be song ideas. They might be 2/3 of the way done. They may just be noodling around on a guitar and having hit a sound that I really liked. I won't know until I open them up. That's going to cost me a lot of time because it always takes time to open projects. The more complicated the project, the longer it takes. So I'm doing this not only to continue to remind myself of the frustration that past Neal causes me all the time. Frankly, that guy's an idiot. But maybe it'll help you to think ahead about what you're doing. Don't be like past Neal. Give your project, your songs, some kind of name to start with. Even if you feel like it's not going anywhere, try to describe it in a couple of words so that you know what you're looking at, or you have some semblance of what you're going into. Like I said, rock 1 or metal 1 would still be more descriptive than project 17. So yeah, those are the things that have been going through my head this week. Hopefully I'm not just talking to myself, but sometimes it just feels like that. If you got any thoughts or any ideas, or you have kind of your own way of going through naming these project schemes, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know. I'm always trying to learn and I'm always trying to share. So that's pretty much it for this week. Thank you very much. See you later.